going to start the stream, and I'm going to mute aforementioned stream so it doesn't start talking in the background like last time. Okay, we are live. Now if I can remember where the buttons are that I need to press. So I wanted to start out talking to Devin H2. Are you there, Devin? Testing? Can you hear me? Testing. I don't hear you. I see your name lighting up like you're talking, but I can't hear anything. I heard a breath, I think. Nope, nothing again. All right, I'll tell you what we'll do. We will come back to you in a second. I'm just going to server mute you for the moment, and we'll come back after I move on, see if we can work out those issues. So next I was hoping to, actually I see a couple of people here I wanted to speak with. So first I'm going to unmute Cactus. Are you there, Cactus?
Yeah, hey.
You weren't actually on the list, but I figured I'd just unmute you and chit-chat for a moment.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah,
nice to talk to
you. What's going on? Anything interesting happening?
Oh, man, not in particular. Been kind of busy lately, so I haven't been able to be super active on the server.
Oh, yeah? Oh, that's messed up. I can see where I stand. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe getting my life together takes precedence.
I know, yeah, it should not. I should take precedence over everything always. So.
I mean, you are my life, so
right. So anyway,
it only logically follows. Yeah, actually, I did have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so it's just a question that's been kind of on my mind, and I know that you usually have your foot in the pool, so to speak, when it comes to changes like this that you see. Like, you have a good eye for it. I was wondering if you've seen recently any new movements coming about, because there's always going to be people that try to manipulate other groups of people through the standard cult technique.
Yeah,
and there's a lot that's been around for a while, but are there any new ones you've been recognizing?
Interesting question. Actually, it's hard to identify cults that are very, very young, but there are a couple that I've seen kind of coming up a little bit and that I've been keeping my eye on. Somebody I spoke with in DMs recently, I haven't really seen him around the server except for in DMs that one time, but he was telling me about this hypnotism cult that he was in. And I was like, hypnotism? I don't know that I even buy that hypnotism is a thing, first of all, but I decided to take a look at this YouTube channel that he says is a complete cult, and it's called Nimja. Nimja, actually. Let me pull it up on YouTube real quick. Okay. For those of you watching live, yeah, this is the YouTube channel that this dude was telling me is very cult-like, and he was saying that a lot of these videos seem, I don't know, pretty tame generally. It's just stuff like tantalizing touch and up and down and going deeper, just general stuff like that. But he's saying that, like,
sensual.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it's actually called erotic hypnosis or something.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, and so on the website, on this guy's website, supposedly, you go there and pay, and behind the paywall is some really, really serious stuff, like some really bad stuff that's very cult-like. And so anyway, I've been keeping my eye on this. I may actually end up covering it at some point. So that's the first one I wanted to mention. And
right.
And then the second one I wanted to mention is Spirit Science. That is...
Hey, everyone.
That is for sure a cult. Like, there is no question in my mind. They have... What? Okay, I guess they've...
Hey, everyone.
Oh my god,
Today
shut up, you little thing. Apparently, they've turned off their subscriber count, so you can't tell how many they have. But last I checked, Spirit Science had like 600,000 or 700,000 subscribers or something.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm keeping a close eye on that one too. I really want to do that one again.
Yeah, whenever they start hiding numbers of any kind, it's never a good sign.
Yeah, that's definitely shady. They apparently, what happened with Spirit Science is Somebody left, like the person who was running their Facebook page realized it was total BS. And so they kind of commandeered the Facebook page and turned it into like an anti spirit science Facebook page. And
Wow.
yeah, it just went downhill from there. It's pretty interesting. And actually, I know I've been talking about this a lot, but there is one more interesting thing I wanted to point out about them. There have been some sexual allegations about the founder, Jordan Pierce.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I don't know that I believe the allegations because I've heard the recordings and talked to the person directly. I don't disbelieve them. And it's definitely something that, a cult leader would do. But I'm just waiting for more evidence before making any assumptions or believing anything at the moment. So,
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
yeah.
if it was an allegation from like the hypnotism cult, I wouldn't be so surprised.
Oh,
But
there are allegations out the
yeah,
wazoo about that one because
yeah,
supposedly, I hate to kind of spread information like this without having any solid evidence for it, but I'm just going to tell you guys what I heard about the hypnotism one. I heard the guy, of course, it's an erotic hypnotism thing, right? I heard that the
that's not
guy has had multiple people propose to him who were hypnotized by him, and he has a basement where some shady stuff goes down and things like that. I don't know how true it is, but it's just what I've
Yikes.
heard about it. Yeah, yeah. But and on that note, did you hear that Bill Cosby was found guilty?
Yeah.
It's crazy, right? I I hate to see that happen, period. So I can't say that I'm happy about the situation at all. But I'm glad to see that
Justice?
he'll face justice. But even then, dude's at the end of his life. I mean, what has he got left? 10,
Yeah.
15 years? 20 years max? He's like 80.
I
So,
mean, at that point, any sentence is a life sentence.
that's true. But he's had the past 80 years to continue doing it free, just kills me, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's good that there's justice, but it
Yeah.
shows exactly the kind of improvements that need to be made when it comes to those cases.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when it comes to people who have a lot of money. The guy had really, really good lawyers and he can probably prolong this whole situation for a good
Hmm.
while, I would say, But
It's probably
anyway.
going to appeal.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll appeal. Ugh. And how long is that process going to take? The appeal process could
Ah,
take
no.
months, a year, you know? And will those people ever see justice? Probably not.
Well, I mean, still, just the very fact that he's actually convicted is a good sign for
It
victims
is,
who
for
maybe
sure.
haven't spoken up in other cases, right?
Yeah, you're right. That's true. Although, I am a little bit concerned that, like, I'm obviously not saying that any of this is untrue or anything, but I know how easy it is to crucify somebody. So I'm very careful about who I accuse and whose accusations I believe and things like that. Um, Obviously, Bill
Hmm.
Cosby did it. Obviously, a lot of these people did it. But like with Jordan Pierce, the spirit science guy, I don't want to just blindly accept without having evidence.
Yeah.
So we'll
I mean,
see.
it's that whole mob mentality that can go down
Yep.
the wrong way way, way too fast.
Yep. That's true. Well, anyway, I appreciate you coming on. We'll talk again, all right?
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Okay. I wanted to talk to where is the person? Wait. Aw, I don't see person in here. I gotta learn my alphabet. Okay, found it. Oriax, are you there?
Oh yes, long time no see.
I know. How's it going?
Good.
It's good.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, I've been unmuting people that I've talked to a couple of times, so I don't know. I'll get to new people pretty soon. Just wanted to see if there's anything interesting going on in debates or anything like that.
Oh no. I've been out of debates for the past like 2 days, but it's gotten kind of. I've been trying to get away from them.
Right?
Ugh.
Yeah, I generally have a different like approach toward debating. I don't like the format of debates in general because especially not voice debates, because to me it's like you don't have the time to think about how you feel about something. Like somebody presents some new idea or new question or piece of information to you, and it's like you don't have time to consider it. You have to just spout something out on the spot to counter it, right? It's just the format that bothers me. Text isn't as bad, but ideally, I think I would prefer street epistemology, just questioning and trying to come to conclusions that are mutually beneficial, you know?
Sure. Yeah. Just for me, I know like I've only done a few debates, like formal debates, and those have always had a moderator. And it's like I've tried to do it on here and other places, and it just unless you're the moderator, in which case you can't really have an opinion on it, and or there is no moderator, it's just a mess.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's so hard to have moderation like on a server like this because the people
Yeah.
are just doing this out of the goodness of their hearts, the mods and stuff. They're not being paid or anything. They're just here because they like me and they want to help me, you know? And asking them to take time out of their day to moderate a debate like that, I feel like it's too much for me to ask of them. I mean, if they want to, they're more than welcome to, but it's just really it's hard to do, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I wanted to keep it like mostly in the debates channel so it can be moderated easier. But
Yeah, and more people have access to the text chat, and then it's all documented there
yeah.
unless someone deletes it. But for the most part, people generally don't delete their messages. So
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. But anyway, I appreciate you coming on and maybe I'll have you on again, all right?
sure, yeah. See you later, dude.
Perfect.
Okay, so I'll ask you some things from the YouTube chat.
Okay.
Okay, how does Telltale feel about the word feminist? Is it something that people should be afraid of identifying with, or something that should be embraced?
Oh. I have like I have skillfully avoided that subject on my channel for 2 years now, basically. I feel like feminism in general, just as a concept, outside of extremist behavior, is necessary because we live in a world where religion dominates and the majority of religious people in the world have a very specific view about women, which is supported by their holy books, right? Like the Bible supports oppression of all kinds of people, women included, and the Quran does, obviously, and things like that. So generally, I would say feminism is necessary to a degree, but I don't believe in extremism in general. And I do see extremism coming out of certain areas of the debate among feminism. I see extremism coming from both the SJW side and the anti-SJW side. So I would not identify myself as either SJW or anti-SJW. But yeah, so that's how I feel about it. I feel like moderate feminism is necessary. Extremist anything needs to be crushed. So.
Okay. Funky asked you about Halsey on Twitter. Did you know about the rant?
No, I don't.
She
Oh,
went
oh,
on
that.
some Round about
Yeah.
how hotel shampoos are a symbol of white privilege.
Oh, wait a minute.
And he wanted
No,
to get your thoughts on this.
I did not hear about that. Oh my god. Okay. That is extremism. That is tribalism, and okay, maybe I don't understand the context. Maybe I'd have to read the whole Twitter thing to get it, because maybe there's some legitimate basis for that argument, but just looking at it right now, that is
Hotel shampoo,
so
white privilege.
stupid. I can't imagine a case in which that, would be a reasonable argument. I'm just saying, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, and the last question is, do you consider the KKK a cult? Because I used to be a part of it, and I think it is. From Captain Clorox.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. Huh. I would have to really look into it further, because there are like markers for cults. Here, let me pull it up on the live stream here. I've talked about this like for oh shoot, hang on. For multiple videos in a row now, I've talked about the bite model, but now it's not going to come up for me. Ugh. Just a second, let me find it. Okay, here it is. Okay, bite model. There we go. So, to be considered a cult, I'd have to... Oh my god. To be considered a cult, I'd have to really examine the KKK and think about whether or not they meet these criteria. I'd have to think about, whether or not they use thought control, emotion control, information control, behavior control. Just looking at it from the outside right now without any prior research into it, I would say, yeah, probably. But maybe I'll do a video on it. We'll see.
Okay, that's everything from
the chat. Okay.
the chat.
Let's see. There was some...
Oh, there's one more which just got posted.
Okay, good.
What are your thoughts on certain privileges? Tumblr's renowned for making up shit like this. For example, thin privilege.
Ugh, okay. As far as privilege goes, I guess I can see some level of benefit to having various things like tall privilege. Like 70% of the CEOs in the world are over 6 feet tall or something like that. So I guess that there is there are some statistics to back that up, but I would like to tear down these ideas, this tribalism, this categorizing. I would like to just tear down the categorization so that we can try to solve problems in a reasonable, rational way without splitting people up into groups like that. That's where I would fall in that, I think. It's going too far.
Okay. I'll ask you the other questions after a couple people.
Okay. Let's see. I was going to speak with Alto Thought, too. I actually spoke with Alto Thought the other day, I think. Are you there? Alto Thought? Oh, shoot. Did I unmute him? I did. I unmuted him.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Hey.
Am I far too loud?
No, I think you're good.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a Jehovah's Witness question for you.
Okay.
All right. Should I shoot it at you?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, awesome. So I have a soon-to-be in-laws. That's just the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And they're raising a young boy. He's about like 12. And from what I hear, they are trying to raise him as a Jehovah's Witness. Now, from what I know, the family doesn't practice anything Jehovah's Witness. They don't go to a Kingdom Hall. They don't really do anything except for not celebrate any holidays. For example, I had him over to my house at one point, and there was a crucifix somewhere in on one of my walls, right? And he saw that, and he had no idea what that was. So they must be keeping him away from any sort of, I guess, faith things, which is a hard thing to do.
That's
But is that
interesting.
possible? Are they can you raise a Jehovah's Witness like that?
That's interesting. Well, okay, let me tell you my experience with it. Yeah, it is possible to raise them in like a bubble like that. Is that what you mean? Like where they've raised him
yes.
in such a way where he's just not exposed to other cultures like that kind of thing?
Right, that and like would the Jehovah's Witness church, I guess you could call them, even consider him a Jehovah's Witness because he doesn't attend at Kingdom Hall.
Oh, got
He
you.
doesn't. Like, is that
He would, well, to be considered a Jehovah's Witness, he would have to either be an unbaptized publisher or he would have to be baptized. You don't have to go to the Kingdom Hall necessarily to be considered such, but if you don't go to the Kingdom Hall, then they will mark you as an inactive Jehovah's Witness. But
okay.
on that note, they will only mark you as inactive if you're baptized. If you're not baptized, then you're just not a Jehovah's Witness anymore. But aside from that, here's something I haven't really talked about on my channel much. When I was... All right, so my brother gets married at 18 years old. I was 11. Yeah, I was 11 and a half or something when he gets married, right? And he moves away. He moves to Atlanta, Georgia. And
Right.
so I was on my own with my father and my mother from the age of like 11 up, right? And at that point, that is actually when they started like heavily isolating me. I've mentioned that too on my channel. But something I haven't really mentioned was the fact that eventually I ended up moving to Atlanta with my brother, who was Jehovah's Witness, and that's when the isolation really set in. I mean, so my father was abusive, and that is why I moved. But I moved in with my brother, and he was not physically abusive, but he was just a Jehovah's Witness to the extreme. He did things like he installed a keylogger on my computer and read every key that I typed to watch what I said and did. He would disable the internet on my computer, except for certain times when he was sitting there watching me and things like that. And I don't blame him for that because he knows now how crazy that was. He knows how messed up that was. I blame Jehovah's Witnesses for that because he was just doing exactly what a good Jehovah's Witness would do. That is the ideal situation for Jehovah's Witness kids. That is what they want. So, anyway,
That's crazy.
yeah. It got pretty messed up. So eventually, I ended up moving back in with my father, even though he was abusive. Physically abusive. I would rather live with a physically abusive person than be isolated like that. And at that point, that's when it was just kind of scorched earth. Like I realized I was on my own in this world and I had to do what I had to do to survive, that kind of thing. You know, that was about 15 years old when I moved back. So anyway, just an interesting little story I figured I'd share.
Yeah, that's great. And I got one more quick question
Sure.
for you. So, you mentioned you have a daughter, right?
Yep.
How and what do you tell Alpha Force Zero to say when a conversation between her peers transitions into issues of faith? If you tell her to say anything at all, because
Well, right. Well, here's the thing with that. I didn't want. I feel like it's wrong to indoctrinate kids. Obviously, I think it's wrong to teach kids to believe the way that you believe. I can't, in good conscience, criticize Christians or Muslims or anybody else for doing that to their children if I'm doing it to my child too. So I decided that I would not tell her that she was an atheist and teach her that that there is no God. I wouldn't do that. So I've actually mentioned this before, but when she was younger, she walked up to me one day and was like, "Dad, Santa's not real, is he?" And I was like, "What makes you say that?" You know? And so she starts going down the list of things like, he couldn't fit down the chimney, and, you know, how does he produce all these gifts and all this other stuff? I was like, okay, all right, so what else do you think isn't real? She was like, the tooth fairy? And I said, okay, keep going. And she said, God? And I said, I don't believe that God is real. But, you know, eventually she will have to make that decision for herself. She tells me she doesn't believe that God is real, and that's fine, but she's really too young to understand the scope of that statement, you know. So
Right.
On that note, though, I did have to do some deprogramming a little bit because my mom was trying to convince her that Jehovah's Witnesses were right and all that other junk. So I did some level of deprogramming, and in that deprogramming, I kind of stepped over the line a little bit and told her that Jehovah's Witnesses are not correct. At the very least, I wanted to communicate that. I don't feel like that's stepping over the line. But I did tell her that God isn't real at one point just to try to make a point. And I kind of regret pushing that on her. In an ideal situation, though, I would say just let them come to their own conclusions, but understand that there's nothing wrong with being atheist and that you're atheist, you know? So.
Right. How does your wife feel about that?
Oh, she's my ex now. Alpha Force Zero's mom. She wanted Alpha Force Zero to believe in Santa and the Tooth Fairy and stuff. She felt like it was a childlike sense of wonder, and it was just fun and all that. And I could have fought it harder, but I didn't. I just let her do it. I just kept my mouth shut. Anytime she asked any questions about Santa, I would say, go ask Mom or something like that, you know. But aside from that, I was lucky in the sense that her mom she is also an atheist, and she's on the same page about a lot of things regarding God and regarding how to raise children and things like that. So it's been a lot easier than it could have been. I can say that.
Yeah. Wow.
So
yeah, you got really lucky there.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely did. She was never really like Christian, quote unquote. I mean, her mom, she did go to like a church when she was younger, and there was a revival she went to when she totally 100% believed in God for like 15 minutes, you know, or something. But
yeah.
But generally, she really didn't accept any of it from the get-go. So I did get lucky in that sense, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, that's great news.
Yeah. But anyway, I appreciate you coming on, and I will talk to you next time, okay?
All right. Appreciate being here.
All right.
Till next time.
Now, there was somebody else I wanted to talk to that I haven't spoken to in voice chat, I don't think. But we had a little bit of an interaction on the server, so let me see. Reverse Panda, I am unmuting you. Do you want to talk? You don't have to if you don't want.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yay.
So
I'm so excited.
So tell me, like, what religion were you originally? Are you still religious? I saw a little post about it in the Ask Telltale channel.
Yes, I am a girl.
But I figured I'd ask you again for the audience.
Yes, I was born into a Muslim family, and I used to, because I worshipped my parents. I worshipped them so much, I could never even fathom them being wrong in any subject ever.
Right.
So when they told me that Allah was real, I believed them without question. Yeah, that changed as I grew up. I'm now agnostic.
You say you're agnostic now?
Yeah.
Interesting. So tell me, like, what does that mean to you, agnosticism? How do you feel about God and Islam and things like that, in your words?
Maybe God exists, maybe doesn't. I have no. I know that I have no way of knowing for sure until I die. So
Right.
I'm not going to worry about it as I'm living right now. I'm just going to focus on my.
That's
That is what I decided to do.
that is a pretty good viewpoint on it. I completely agree. I actually, I don't know if you've heard this or not. Let me give you like my viewpoint of atheism and agnosticism. So, in my view, atheism addresses a question of belief, and agnosticism addresses the question of knowledge. Do you know that God is real? Yeah. Do you know or not know that God is real, right? And atheism
Yes.
addresses whether you believe he's real or not. So I would call myself an agnostic atheist because I don't claim to know whether he's real or not. It's possible he is. But an atheist because I live my life as though he isn't. I don't see evidence for it yet. And I would be
Yeah,
open to that evidence.
that's practically how I am right now.
Well, I'm glad you found your way out. How long have you been on the outside now?
For a few years.
Okay. Good. I'm glad. So, what country did you live in? Did you grow up in the US or was it another country?
No, I was born and raised in Turkey.
Okay.
I'm studying abroad right now. I'm living in Germany.
Oh, wow. How is it? Is it pretty cool being in Germany?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I really like it here.
What are you
My hometown was Istanbul, and
Okay.
it's super chaotic there. The peacefulness in Germany was a really really good time. It was really good for me. I'm away from all the family drama. As I wrote in the voice text channel, my parents are getting divorced right now.
Okay.
So staying away from the family was super good for me. It was one of the best things that could happen to me right now.
Right. So, what was it like growing up in Turkey? It is predominantly Muslim there, right?
Yes, very dominantly. Almost the entire population.
So, what was it like growing up in an environment like that?
It was my family wasn't very religious, so but my mom was still Muslim. She never wore a headscarf though.
Oh, okay. So they weren't like
yeah.
super Muslim then.
Yeah, none of my family members, at least in my nuclear family, was super Muslim. And later in my life, my father literally told me he was deistic.
Oh, wow.
And but he was never vocal about it. Maybe he was afraid of being persecuted or something. And I always thought he was Muslim. Apparently he wasn't. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
My mom was Muslim though. She wanted me to memorize passages or something, which I never did.
Right. So she believed it, but she didn't really like live by it. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, she was a practicing, that's for sure.
Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, I'm glad that it wasn't too down your throat, I guess, right?
Yeah, that wasn't too bad for me. Like I explained in the Ask chat, there are some very weird superstitions here.
Like
and
what?
Something I really hate, and I hated this since I was a little child. I really hated this. In Turkey, nobody knows Arabic because the education sucks, and nobody is taught good language. Not even English, especially in public. The only chance of ever learning English well is going to a private school. And
the only chance of learning English well is going to a private school, you said?
The only chance of learning English, if you want to learn it well, is going to a private school.
Right.
If you go to a public school, you will the only things you will learn is my name is blah blah.
Yeah, it's like
That is the
Spanish in
only
the
thing that
US.
they will tell you.
Yeah.
So nobody knows Arabic because of this reason,
Mm.
because the education sucks.
Right.
And the people are so puristic here. There are so many purists here that nobody wants to read the Quran in Turkish.
Right, because
Nobody wants Turkish azan, and people want their children to memorize scriptures in Arabic, not in.
right. I've heard that it's I don't know. I've heard Muslims say that you don't get the full effect of the Quran if you don't read it in Arabic, right?
Yes.
And that's why they want it memorized in Arabic, because it just the words don't translate well, quote unquote, I guess.
Yeah, but is it really better if you don't understand anything?
Right.
Having a shitty understanding versus having no understanding. There is a very huge imbalance here. I would much rather have a shitty understanding than not understanding any of the book I believe in.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. That's really interesting. That's an interesting story. I'd actually like to talk to you a little bit more if you're interested on coming on again, like on Thursday or next Sunday or something.
I'm very interested.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll talk again next time. I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks.
That is very interesting. I haven't really covered Islam a whole lot. I would like to cover it more. I actually do have some videos on Islam, though. They're kind of old and awful, like before I was doing the blueprint background on my videos. But yeah, they're there if you want to watch them. I thought about, like, it's a question I've been facing recently. Should I take my old videos down so that people don't get directed to those and they're like, oh, God, this guy sucks, and then just ignore me? Or should I leave them up to have a history, a record of my progress from start to finish? I don't know. I'm just leaving them up for the moment. We'll see how things go. But are you there, Lord Friendzone?
Yep. Can you hear me?
I can. We haven't talked on voice chat before, have we, or on the podcast?
No, we haven't.
So tell me, what religion were you? Are you still religious?
No, I'm not really religious, but I grew up Mormon.
Oh, interesting. You did. Okay. So what was that
I'm
like?
actually only 17, so I'm still kind of going to church.
Oh, you're still stuck in
Yeah.
it. That
I'm
sucks.
still stuck in it. It sucks.
Yeah. So, like, what kind of pulled you out of it? What made you realize it wasn't true?
Well, I guess it was my friend Davis. So he's atheist, and I met him in like 4th grade. And I didn't really find out he was atheist until I was in middle school, and he kind of gave me some stuff on science, and then I started to question it, and then I kind of called myself atheist when I was around 15.
Okay. So it's been a couple of years then.
Yeah.
Wow. That is awesome. I'm glad you got out of that belief as early as you did.
But the church I go to, it isn't even that bad. I mean, they're pretty chill.
Really? It's a Mormon church, and they're pretty chill? How so? How are they more chill than, like, other ones, you think?
Well, they don't really go out and preach stuff. They kind of do know it's kind of a little crazy and weird, but we still go to it because it makes us feel good and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But most of the time, we just kind of talk about random stuff in Sunday school. We don't really talk much about religion. We just talk completely random crap.
Okay, so that's kind of cool, actually. It's not? Do they have a service? They do have like a service where they talk about.
Oh yeah, we
God.
still have like a sacrament meeting and all that crap. But
Okay.
in Sunday schools, we just talk about random stuff.
Okay, so what is Sunday school usually? I never did go to Sunday school. What's it supposed to be?
I mean, for Sunday school, I mean, most Sunday schools that you think of usually have it on like 3 hours or something, or Sunday school in less like an hour. No, not even an hour, like half an hour.
Okay.
Basically, what you're supposed to talk about, well, stuff Mormons talk about, but
Sure.
what we talk about is just regular old life stuff on all that, with occasional biblical lessons in there, but most of the time it's just regular stuff.
It's just casual chit chat most of the time then.
Yeah, like the teachers, like we always having to teach the same stuff every year, and the teachers are getting absolutely bored of that. It's a mess.
Very cool. That's not so
Yeah,
bad. So let me ask you, what do you think would happen if you told your family that you don't believe it anymore? Do you think there'd be social consequences to that,
I
or
already did. I already did.
really? Oh, you did.
Yeah, they took it quite well. I mean, my mother had a little bit of trouble adjusting to it. My sister, my oldest sister, she still isn't speaking to me. And then there's my aunt. Oh God, my aunt.
What happened?
Oh my God, my aunt is probably I mean, my aunt isn't really Mormon. I think she's evangelical Pentecostal,
Okay.
which is enough of a hint for you.
Yeah.
And okay, just take Ken Ham and that crazy bitch from Jesus Camp and the entire Westboro Baptist Church.
Oh God,
Throw it
really?
into a
That bad?
blender and then inject that with steroids, and that's my aunt.
That's bad, man. I assume that
Yeah,
means
it's
she's
horrible.
Republican too.
I
Like,
feel so sorry for my 5-year-old cousin. Like she's only allowed to watch Mormons like biblical stuff. It's
know,
sad.
man. I know where you're coming from. I went through something
know.
similar.
And my aunt, when my aunt was going out with my uncle, and they're divorced now because my uncle, got out of there because she was, absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Like my aunt would not go within like 4 inches of him while they were dating until they were married.
That
It
poor
was a
guy.
mess. Yeah, I know.
Wow.
It really sucks. My aunt is always trying to get me to go to this dumb college called Pensacola Christian College, and I won't survive a day there because the rules are just absolutely
Really?
what the
Pentacle
actual hell.
of what was it called? Pentacle of what?
Yeah, Pensacola Christian College up in Florida.
Very interesting.
Like the general rules there are basically normal things, but you're not allowed to listen to music of any kind unless if it's gospel or classical. So
Right.
no rock, no rap, and you can't do karate for some reason.
Yeah, my family was the same
segregation
way about karate.
Yeah, the segregation is absolutely off the wall. Elevators are segregated by gender, stairways are segregated by gender, parking lots are segregated by gender.
Get away, kitty. Go. Shoot. Sorry.
I just wouldn't last an hour there. I'd be expelled within an hour.
Right. I know. Well, usually when you find people like that, there's like a subset of the population in the U.S. I assume you're in the U.S., right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I was born in Scotland, but I immigrated to America when I was like 2.
That's kind of cool. I have to ask you about that in a second. But when you end up with, like, when you get extremist Christians in the U.S. like that, a lot of the time you'll find that they're extremist in a lot of different ways, not just with Christianity. They're extremist with politics, and you get like hardcore extremist Republican Christians. That's like the evangelical vote that presidential candidates are always trying to get, things like that. Do you see anything like that with her? Extremism in other areas of her life?
She was an absolutely hardcore Bush supporter and all that.
Was she a Trump supporter, do you know?
Bush that much because, I'm only 17, man.
Right. That's interesting. That is really crazy, man. But you know what? I'm glad you're on the outside. I'm glad that your family was moderately accepting at least, right?
Yeah, and my aunt, so I actually have my own little online community, and we're actually pretty tight. So a couple years ago, one of our friends died in an earthquake in Italy. I'm pretty sure you probably heard about that earthquake.
In Italy, you said?
Yeah, it was 2016.
Oh, yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, so one of our friends actually died in that earthquake. So we were just doing some regular stuff, and so my aunt saw a picture of her, and it was a little saucy, like she was wearing like a tank top, New York hat, all that stuff, showed a little bit of cleavage. And she said, and I quote, "That little whore is burning in hell as we speak."
Wow, man. I know. That is insane.
I know. Like, almost everybody in my entire server just wanted to come over and deck her.
I know.
I stood up and I just wanted to deck her right then and there. Just punch her in the face.
Right. Some people will just never learn. I mean, some people are just extremists to the core like that. I actually have to talk to one person that I forgot about. I'm sorry. But can you make it on the next one? If you can, we can talk more about it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on, and we'll talk again next time, okay?
Okay, not a problem.
All right. I did not forget about you. Devin, I am unmuting you now. Hey,
Hello.
how's it going?
Hello? Sorry. I was active. I was just kind of weirded out about how immediately you called upon me.
Oh, no problem. Is there any way you can turn your mic up a little bit?
Well, I switched to mobile just because whenever
Okay,
I do it
gotcha. No,
on my
okay, that's
computer,
fine. I'll just amplify it on
kind
this
of-
end. I'll see if I can move closer to
Sorry.
my speakers. But anyway, so I haven't talked to you on voice chat, right?
No, you have not. I'm actually just really new here. Like, I joined just today.
Oh, did you? That's cool. So, what religion were you originally? Are you still religious, or?
Well, it's I am an extra, and I'm just full out, and kind of ties into like my name. Like, I heard you too, but you can just call me Devin.
Okay.
The other part is just like a little homage to
Okay.
I've been
So
through
Devin
my life.
then.
Yeah. The reason I put H2 at the end is because, like, I went through a lot of shit back a while ago. I just feel like now that I'm out of it.
I'm sorry, I'm losing you a
lost.
little bit. You said you went through some shit a while back, and what else was it?
Yeah. I went through a lot of shit a while back, and I was questioning who I was, what my religion was.
Okay.
Basically, like, a total breakdown. And so after that, like, before I was called Devin H1 because why not? And then after that moment, when I actually felt like I was doing better, and I was actually feeling better about who I was, I renamed myself to Devin H2.
Okay.
At that point, I was a new person.
Right. Interesting. So, like, what was it? A religious dilemma that you went through, or what was it? You don't have to say if you don't want.
It was all the shit. Religion, sexuality,
Okay.
gender, all that shit.
Yeah, I imagine that can be really difficult. I guess I lucked out in the sense that I never had to face like sexuality or gender or any of that. So
Like, I stuck with like my gender sexuality part because it was lesser, but religion and my friends, that just all changed.
right, interesting. And so, how old are you now? Like, how long ago did all this happen?
Like, it was happened when I was, say, 14, 13,
Okay.
around that area.
And how old are you now? Are you
I am 16.
okay?
7.
So it's been a couple of years then now.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm glad that you seem to be coming out of it a little bit. Then is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I have been out of it. I'm overall just happy. I've found Discord. I take a lot of pride in helping out my favorite server.
Right. Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. And I actually am going to move on to another person. I appreciate you coming on and telling us about it. If you want, you can come on again and talk to me on the next one. Are you interested in doing that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I'll
that's
put your
fine.
name on the list then.
Okay. See ya.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, I really lucked out not having to go through any of that stuff. I'm sorry, I'm just readjusting my microphone and stuff here. Okay. Yeah, I did luck out on that. Because, like, I can't imagine being in a religious family and realizing that you have gender dysphoria or something like that, realizing that you are actually male and in a female body or something like that. I cannot imagine having to go through that. And going to the lengths that some people go to feel right, correct, you have to know that it's real to them. I don't know how Christians can deny something like gender dysphoria when people will go to the lengths that they do to feel right. Just kills me. Okay, I was going to talk to... Wait a minute. Jordo boy, are you there? Testing? Jordo boy?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, it's going.
You're blowing the ears out of the stream watchers for a second because I had it turned all the way up for Devin, and I forgot to turn it back down, so we're good now. But anyway, my fault.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It was my fault. So, wait, okay. Did we talk in the podcast or no? I don't remember.
We've talked before, but it was your very, very first Discord chat.
Okay. Well, in that case, why don't you... I'll just ask the normal question since the audience probably hasn't heard it. Were you religious originally? Are you still, or...?
I was. Originally, I was Jehovah's Witness, a former Jehovah's Witness.
Okay. So...
And...
Yeah, go on.
I was... I don't want to go through the whole story again, but
sure.
I'll give you the short part. Like, okay. I was with my mom. I grew up in the religion, and I never really, I was never a baptized publisher or anything. I was an unbaptized publisher.
Yeah.
But never baptized. I didn't want to commit to that. I have a thing with commitment.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
That's what all my girlfriends tell me too.
They tell me the same thing. So your girlfriends tell me that. So no, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding. So interesting. So how long have you not believed it? Like how long have you been on the outside of the belief?
I'd probably say, well, let's see. I left when I was 13 and I'm 18 now. So like,
yeah.
God, yeah, like
about 5
5
years.
years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So it was about 13. Are your parents like still Jehovah's Witness? Are they extremists? Was there any kind of backlash?
My dad wasn't, but my mom was. And in fact, the reason why I left was because of my mom. Because not only was she a witness, but she had a diagnosed personality disorder.
Okay.
So she's like crazy. So on top of that kind of made things like worse tenfold because she took every little thing and went to the extreme with it.
Right. And by the way, I do remember talking to you. I do remember this story. I just wanted to get it from you again, just for the audience at the very least. But
oh, okay.
Anyways,
yeah.
So go on. So you're saying that she would take things and she would drive them to the extreme. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes. Yeah. She would drive them to the extreme, like like, I don't want to say like the child abuse cases because my case was different. My case was physical abuse. So mine's more of the capital punishment thing. She took that way to the extreme.
Yeah. Like
even throwing me out of a 2-story building at one point.
Right. So why did she have a reason that she gave for doing that? Obviously it wasn't justified. There's no good reason for it, but
yeah, usually it was like me somehow being disrespectful to Jehovah or poking holes in her arguments. That's what she really hated. Because I'm a boy. I like to poke holes and things.
Sure. Yeah, me too. I'm with you.
and like I do that to my mom a lot, and she just never understood it, and I never really knew until I found out that she had a personality disorder.
Right. Now things seem to be making a little bit more sense, right?
Yeah, a lot of sense.
Wow.
And I still talk to her though. because she's my mom. I still
Sure.
love her.
Sure. So she didn't really like shun you or anything like that? You didn't get that end of it too much?
At first she did, but here's the part where like I know my mom loves me, because she will still talk to me even though I am an apostate or whatever, and I will call her, and if it does like turn into religion, it's like immediately either she hangs up or I hang up. We don't talk about that.
Okay. That's good.
Because yeah, we'll get in a fight if we do.
Yeah, definitely. I know exactly what you're talking about because my mom basically said the same thing. There was a period of time where my mom was willing to talk to me because it was more convenient for her to get, Alpha Force Zero and talk about that kind of thing. So the rule was basically no talking about religion with her. And that's how it was for a long time, but she always seemed to bring it up, or it always came up anyways. And yeah, and of course she's an extremist. Basically all Jehovah's Witnesses are extremists. So yeah, it came to the point where she just didn't talk to me anymore. I haven't talked to her in a long time, really. So I know what you mean when you're talking about that. So what about your dad? Did he shun you at all, or?
My dad wasn't really religious, and he died when I was 9 years old.
Okay.
So, yeah, I didn't. He never really got into religion with me.
Right.
But he was still a good dad.
Right.
That's for damn sure.
Well, I'm glad you're on the outside of it now. I mean, even, with the troubles you've had with your mother, I can't speak for you, but I can say that I am better off now, even without a mother. I'm still better off on the outside. It was all worth it for me. So
yeah. One thing I wanted to talk to you about is because in not your recent video, but your video after that, it was talking about you were talking about like the Church of Christ or something. Yeah. And you were talking about like I'll put this in witness terms, how their elders have more control over the church.
Right.
That's how it felt like in some of the witness congregations that I went to. Like the elders had such a firm grip on everyone.
Yeah, for sure. I know that elders do have a firm grip on people, but they're not making doctrine. They're not making doctrinal rules, and that's what I meant when I was saying that. But I do know of times when Jehovah's Witness elders have abused their power and really screwed people over and gone easier on family members of other elders and things like that. I've seen it get really ugly. So I am on the same page with you. It's just as easy for Jehovah's Witness elders to abuse their power as it is for Church of Christ elders to.
Yeah.
But anyway, I appreciate you coming on and talking to me. And
anytime.
Yeah, maybe I'll have you on again.
Okay, awesome, man.
Alrighty, bye.
Okay.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. I've actually heard a lot of really questionable stories. I don't know that I don't know that I believe all of them, but I've heard stories about like wife swapping and things like that. Like elders would trade wives for like a week or a month or something like that. I don't know how true it is. I mean, Jehovah's Witness elders. I don't know if I can buy it. I mean, they are extremists to the core, and that is like breaking every freaking rule in the book. So anyway, I actually, from what I understand, I've got some questions from Infinity's Bane. Is that right?
Not from me.
You have questions for me?
Okay. So, I'm sorry if I've forgotten who asked these questions, but I've gotten them written down.
No,
so
it's fine.
Would you consider yourself a moderate feminist or an egalitarian?
I'm always for equality. In fact, I would say that there are some bits of the men's rights movement that I can get on board with. Like, I'm lucky in the sense that I haven't had to face custody battles or anything with Alpha Force Zero. But it was something that, I and her mother discussed at one point. We went to the courthouse, and it was so blatantly obvious how biased they were against men. It's scary. So things like that, I would fight. I would fight for equality for men. But on the same page, I would fight for equality for women too. So I guess egalitarian? Question mark? I don't know. I'm just trying to be reasonable and not extremist about anything. So.
All right, and somebody else asked you, what do you think of the Amish?
I've wanted to do a video on the Amish for a long time. In fact, I don't know if you guys have seen the YouTube channel Apologia. He's really good, but he's an ex-Mennonite, and they're up there with the Amish in craziness. In fact, I think they're in the same area, like physical location as the Amish a lot of the time. And I've wanted to cover the Amish and the Mennonites for a while. They are a cult, the Amish are. I mean, no question. I understand everybody seems to have a high opinion of them because they're so kind and all that other junk, but they're a cult, bottom line. I mean, they shun and they do all this other stuff. They match the bite model, so they're a cult.
Okay. There was someone that asked you if there's a religion that you know of that doesn't have cult-like actions or isn't a cult, and I know you have the video on them, but would you mind going over what those are again?
Yeah. I will give a couple of examples. I kind of side with Lloyd Evans a little bit, or the John Cedars channel. He's an ex-Jehovah's Witness. If you guys don't know him, he's pretty good. I'll side with him in the sense that he views cults... how am I going to word this? He views cult status as in degrees. He thinks it's like different degrees of cult-like tendencies. So I think basically every religion has some level of cult-like tendencies to it, but I would not identify Methodist as a cult. I don't think I would identify Buddhism as a cult, or Presbyterians, or Episcopalians. Let's see, some others. Baptist is a little bit more gray because there are some moderate, chill, cool Baptist churches. And then there are some extremists.
The difference between open and closed Baptist.
Do you want to elaborate on that?
Well, one teaches that God's forgiveness is for everybody, and the other one is that, no, if you're out, you're in the cold, screw you, burn in hell.
Yeah, I would say that it would probably be based on that, open or closed Baptist. And on that note, yeah, I would say you've got people like Westboro Baptist. That is a Baptist church. So you do have extremist Baptists, for sure. So I don't know that I like I said, it would just be based on the Baptist church. Some I'd say are cults, some I would say are not. So anyway, that's like, 4 or 5 religions I identified as not cults. There you go.
Okay, and someone else said, I have a friend who believes that you can't be racist towards white people, and I just wanted to get your thoughts.
Jesus, people are really trying to pull me into this debate, aren't they?
Yes.
That is bullshit, that you can't be racist against white people. I lived in Florida for a short time, well, a couple of years, and there were legitimate racist people against me, like... So I had a friend who lived in a poorer part of town, I guess you could call it. And there was a guy with his little kid who marched around my friend's house with a sign calling him whitey and telling him to get out of the neighborhood and all this stuff. There is legit racism. I'm sorry. I don't care if it's prejudice plus power BS. I don't care what you want to say. If somebody hates somebody else for the color of their skin, it's racism. I don't care if power is involved or not. That's the bottom line with it. So, yeah, that's how I feel.
Okay, and Someone else wanted to ask you if you were aware of the new article from Philadelphia Inquirer about sexual abuse in the Jehovah's Witness organization.
Oh, wow. I don't think so. Here's the thing about that. John Cedars, I mentioned him a second ago. He does a lot of activism work with Jehovah's Witnesses, and he's like a watchdog. He keeps up with it. He gets leaked information, leaked videos. I do not get those leaks. I don't keep up with that kind of thing closely. I basically get all my information about Jehovah's Witnesses from him and a couple of other YouTube channels like that. So if you want to like hear what's going on in that, you're going to want to go watch John Cedars. He's definitely worth the watch. It's the John Cedars channel. Anyway. Is that the end of them?
No, there's about 5 more. That
all right, I'll take one more and then we'll end it.
One more. Okay.
Make it a good one.
Make me pick them. Okay, can I ask you 2 more?
Sure.
Okay, so what do you think about a science-run government? Something along the lines of what a major movement during the Great Depression that fought for a science-run government.
Science-run government. Interesting. I feel like there's a lot of baggage that comes with that term that I don't know about. So I'll just say this. I would like to see... Somebody asked me this in the Ask Telltale channel earlier. If there's one thing I could change about the U.S. government, what would it be? And my answer was, I would replace all of the corrupt congressmen with magically incorruptible scientists and engineers and mathematicians, people that are genuinely smart and not just pseudo-famous or rich, you know. So that's where I would go with it.
Okay, and then the last one is Telltale. How are some ways you go about training Alpha Force Zero to reason and use logic without forcing your conclusions? Because they have a daughter about the same age.
Interesting. I'll tell you what I did, or what I've been doing, is teaching her how logic works. So, for example, I told her, I tried to illustrate the difference between not believing something and believing that something is not real. Like, not believing that Santa exists is different from believing that Santa does not exist. And I explained to her why, and I gave her examples of how they're different. Try to, elaborate on that point. So teach her things like that, and talk to her about critical thinking, and show her examples of a claim and ask her why she doesn't believe that claim, and point out that she needs evidence to believe it. That kind of thing. So that would be my suggestion with it. Is that the end of them? Or actually, that's the end of them for me. So, all right. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on. Infinity, are you interested in starting at the top and unmuting everybody?
Yeah, sure.
I started at the bottom. I'm moving up. Unmute. Oh, wow. I just heard something crash in the background.
I got a quick question.
Let the chaos begin.
Yes, let the chaos begin, indeed.
Please, no.
By the way, guys, if you want to talk to me, then just send me or send me or 6-bit a DM or Infinity, and I'll get you on here and we'll talk about it.
All right.
Got to oh man, here the DMs come.
Good luck, Telltale. I hope you survive this tsunami of DMs.
Thanks.
Telltale, can I just say something real quick?
Sure.
That statement about like being trans and figuring out your sexuality and your gender if you're religious. I appreciate that. As a
well,
me too. Same boat.
Thank you guys. I'm glad that I'm reaching people and helping.
It was a really good stream tonight.
Thanks. All right, I'm actually ending it, so thank you guys for coming. I will talk to you guys later.